Nutritional yeast can support your immune system and it can increase your energy levels. It's made from Saccharomyces cerevisiae, a type of yeast that's used in brewing and baking. The manufacturers grow the Saccharomyces cerevisiae. They deactivate it using heat and they dry it out to get the final product. They can select and culture specific strains of the yeast for desired nutritional value and properties. Nutritional yeast is a popular cooking ingredient, especially in vegan dishes, as a cheese substitute. People can also use it to boost their immunity, their energy levels, and their intake of essential nutrients. Nutritional yeast and brewer's yeast are close relatives. They both contain Saccharomyces cerevisiae, but they're slightly different in the production process, the nutritional value, and the use. Brewer's yeast is a byproduct of the beer brewing industry, usually grown on hops or grain. People use its dried and deactivated form as a nutritional supplement. Depending on the growth medium, the brewer's yeast may contain gluten. The food industry grows the nutritional yeast for its dietary uses only. The growing medium is glucose or molasses, and this makes the final product gluten-free. Unlike nutritional yeast, brewer's yeast is naturally rich in chromium, and this can help to lower blood sugar levels. As such, brewer's yeast might be a better option for people with diabetes. Nutritional yeast is usually fortified with vitamin B12, and thus it's more suitable for vegans. Brewer's yeast has a bitter taste, and many find it unpleasant. Nutritional yeast has a nutty or cheesy flavour, and it blends well in various dishes. Brewer's yeast may be more suitable for diabetics, but it has a bitter taste and it may contain gluten. Nutritional yeast is usually fortified with B12, has no gluten, and tastes much better. Nutritional yeast didn't get its name by chance. It delivers a blast of high-quality protein, fibre, B vitamins, and minerals, and it only has 60 calories per serving, with no sugar or cholesterol. There's two types of nutritional yeast, fortified and unfortified. The fortified products usually contain added B12, folate, and other B vitamins, like thiamine, riboflavin, niacin, and pyridoxine. Per 100 grams fortified nutritional yeast roughly is 53% protein, 3% lipids, 33% carbohydrate, and 20% fibre. It's also a source of zinc, iron, potassium, and B vitamins. Many vegans use nutritional yeast to supplement their diet with B12. However, the yeast doesn't naturally contain this vitamin. They produce a so-called pseudo-vitamin B12, but this doesn't have biological activity in humans, and it can compete with other forms of active B12 and potentially even worsen a B12 deficiency. Fortified products with added B12 can improve the intake of this vitamin. If you rely on nutritional yeast as your only B12 source, make sure to use a fortified product that meets the daily needs. In a study on 49 vegans, fortified nutritional yeast improved the B12 status. Saccharomyces cerevisiae used by bakers is naturally rich in folate in the form of tetrahydrofolate and 5-methyl tetrahydrofolate, the active form. Nutritional yeast is likely to contain folate in these forms also. Natural folate content can depend on the growth conditions, and it varies between products. You should always check the nutritional label before assuming that a nutritional yeast product contains enough folate. Fortified yeast contains synthetic forms of folate, some of which might not be suitable for people with the MTHFR mutation. Nutritional yeast is rich in monoligosaccharides, beta-glucans, nicotinamide riboside, and dietary nucleotides. These nutrients can support gut health and the immune system. Based on the growing method and conditions, nutritional yeast can also contain chromium, selenium, and glutathione. Nutritional yeast is rich in protein, minerals, B vitamins, and prebiotics, and it also contains immunity-boosting beta-glucans, and fortified products have the B12 and the folate. Heart disease is a leading cause of death worldwide, with high blood pressure and cholesterol as major risk factors. Nutritional yeast is packed with cholesterol-lowering components like the beta-glucans, the niacin, and the nicotinamide riboside. In 55 diabetics, low doses of brewer yeast, 3.6 grams per day for 8 weeks, reduced blood triglycerides and LDL, while increasing the beneficial HDL cholesterol. Higher doses of the supplement, 10 to 20 grams per day, achieved similar results in 46 subjects. That said, the above studies didn't have placebo controls, and they used chromium-rich brewer's yeast. Beta-glucan from Saccharomyces cerevisiae cut cholesterol levels in 15 obese men, and it caused no side effects. Studies on rats and mice also suggest there's cholesterol-lowering potential. In a study of 90 diabetic patients, brewer's yeast significantly reduced blood pressure, but it failed to improve the blood lipids. The components of the nutritional yeast that can help to reduce the blood pressure include the minerals like potassium and magnesium, the peptides that block angiotensin converting enzyme or ACE, and nicotinamide riboside. Prebiotics like beta-glucan and menan oligosaccharides and cell wall components of the Saccharomyces cerevisiae can support the gut microbiome and help with a range of digestive issues. In animal studies and test tubes, scientists observed the potential of these components to shield the gut by binding fungal toxins, by removing harmful bacteria and supporting the good ones, by strengthening the gut barrier and boosting immunity, and by soothing gut inflammation. That said, nutritional yeast contains inactive cells, and thus it lacks probiotic effects such as increased nutrient absorption and additional microbiome benefits. These are limited to supplements with active live strains of Saccharomyces cerevisiae or Saccharomyces boulardii. Gut health is the cornerstone of robust immunity. By nurturing the gut and shielding it against pathogens, nutritional yeast can strengthen the immune system. Two main carbs from nutritional yeast, alpha-mannan and beta-glucan, have immune-boosting properties. They bind to and they stimulate the immune cells, making them more efficient against various infections and diseases. In 2 studies, over 200 participants, supplementing with Saccharomyces cerevisiae and its product Epicor lowered the risk of catching a cold and reducing symptoms in those who became ill. The same treatment relieved the symptoms of hay fever in 96 individuals. Truth be told, the above studies on Epicor were funded by the company that owns the supplement, and this could indicate a conflict of interest, so independent studies should be done. Yeast beta-glucans also showed immune-boosting properties in clinical trials and animal models. They were able to prevent infections, to accelerate disease recovery, reduce symptoms of disease, and relieve allergic reactions. Nutritional yeast is rich in zinc, another nutrient that supports the immune system. Beta-glucans, zinc, and other nutritional yeast components can boost the immune system, making you more resistant to infections, chronic disease, and allergies. Many athletes and active people use nutritional yeast as a natural energy booster. It is loaded with nutrients that can support a healthy mood and energy production. Patients with chronic fatigue syndrome are often deficient in B vitamins and other nutrients. Products based on the Saccharomyces cerevisiae can improve their nutritional status, enhance their cognitive function and mood, and reduce other symptoms. The following components of the nutritional yeast improve mood, energy, and physical performance in clinical trials: the beta-glucan, the nucleotides, and the B vitamins. In 2 studies on 162 diabetic patients, brewer's yeast reduced the glucose levels and it boosted insulin function. Brewer's yeast is naturally high in chromium, and this is partly responsible for these beneficial effects. Chromium-enriched nutritional yeast was able to lower blood glucose by boosting the insulin function in animal trials. Nutritional yeast may or may not contain chromium, so make sure to check the nutrition label. And the beta-glucans can also improve lipid and glucose metabolism in patients with diabetes. In a study of 54 obese men and women, Saccharomyces cerevisiae helped to reduce the weight and the belly fat without the adverse effects on the lean body mass. Obese women who took the same supplement ate less. They lost more fat and they didn't crave sugar as much. The researchers observed the ability of the yeast hydrolysate to reduce the body fat in animal studies. Although yeast hydrolysate and nutritional yeast both contain Saccharomyces cerevisiae, they are produced differently. Additionally, high amounts of B vitamins may increase your appetite and the risk of weight gain. If you're struggling to shed extra pounds, nutritional yeast might not be the best option. Some components from nutritional yeast may support fat burning, but the high amount of the B vitamins could increase the appetite. Nutritional yeast is high in zinc, a mineral that boosts fertility in men. Selenium-rich yeast can enhance thyroid function and help with autoimmune thyroid disorders like Hashimoto's and Graves' disease. Nicotinamide riboside from the nutritional yeast supplies nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, a component that's essential for nerve health and cognitive performance. The potential of Saccharomyces cerevisiae to bind fungal toxins is a double-edged sword. Out of 46 analyzed yeast supplements, almost 90% were contaminated with ochratoxin A, and this can damage the kidneys. The above study tested brewer's yeast supplements, but the same threat exists from nutritional yeast, as they both contain inactive Saccharomyces cerevisiae. To avoid contaminated yeast, make sure to choose lab-tested products from reputable brands. People who are allergic to yeast and mold should skip nutritional yeast. Those with atopic dermatitis, a type of eczema, can also be intolerant to yeast. If you have kidney stones or gout, you should avoid all yeasts. They're high in uric acid and its precursor purine, and this can worsen your condition. You should try to limit your intake of yeast fermented products, such as beer, bread, wine, and cheese. Some researchers have warned about high levels of glutamate in nutritional yeast. This can act as an excitatory neurotransmitter in the brain. However, no studies have found harmful effects of nutritional yeast caused by glutamate in healthy individuals. If you suspect that you're sensitive to glutamate, you might want to avoid the nutritional yeast. There's public concern regarding the safety of nutritional yeast for people with candida infections. Nutritional yeast contains inactive Saccharomyces cerevisiae, and this cannot cause or worsen infections. Unless you're allergic to candida and other fungi, you should be fine, but it's always best to check with a doctor. On the other hand, active yeasts that are used for fermentation can cause infections in people with candida or a weakened immune system. Nutritional yeast don't contain gluten, but people with celiac disease or gluten intolerance or Crohn's disease may have antibodies to Saccharomyces cerevisiae. Yeast-based products may worsen the symptoms in such patients. No studies have examined the safety of Saccharomyces cerevisiae in people with non-celiac gluten sensitivity. People with an MTHFR polymorphism can't convert folic acid into active methylfolate as effectively. Therefore, they should avoid nutritional yeast fortified with synthetic folic acid. Unfortified nutritional yeast can contain methylfolate, the active form that our body can put much better use to. Yeasts are also high in tyramine, and this interacts with monoamine oxidase inhibitors, a class of drugs prescribed for depression. People on MAOIs should skip nutritional yeast and other tyramine-rich foods. Nutritional yeast is a popular cooking ingredient, and you can use it as a cheese substitute in various recipes and make a vegan-friendly dressing for risotto, pasta, popcorn, mac and cheese, mushrooms, mashed potatoes, or scrambled tofu. Nutritional yeast is packed with protein, B vitamins, minerals, and prebiotic fiber. Fortified products can contain B12, selenium, and chromium. The evidence supports the use of nutritional yeast as a natural energy and immunity booster. It can also shield the heart, improve gut health, and help with diabetes. Nutritional yeast isn't suitable for people with yeast allergies, kidney stones, and gout. Some patients with a gluten intolerance, eczema, or Crohn's disease may also want to avoid it. The pleasant, cheesy flavour makes nutritional yeast a popular cooking ingredient. For more information about herbs, supplements, and natural treatment plans, check out my website.